We started yesterday, and I believe they finished off at text 66, so we'll start with text 67. Usually we chant the bhajan before class. The common one is Jairada Madhava. For Caitanya-caritamrta, there are other Gora bhajans, but due to restraint in time, because we are starting late due to the Jagannath prayers and other activities that are going on, we'll just start with the invocation for the Caitanya-caritamrta. Each chapter of the Caitanya-caritamrta, Krishnadas Kaviraj writes this verse near the beginning, within the first 3 or 4 verses. And you can repeat, I think most of you know it. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandras Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we're reading from the Sri Caitanya-caritamrta, Madhya Lila, second part, entitled, chapter 13, entitled The Ecstatic Dancing of the Lord at Ratha Yatra. And we're picking up at text 67. So what we do is we usually we can chant the first verse in a refrain method back and forth. And we'll do the word for word translation and purport. And then consecutive verses after that, we'll just read through. Chapter 13. Madhya Lila, chapter 13, text 67. Bhaktagana anubhave nahi jane ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana. Bhaktagana anubhava bhave nahi jane ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana. Bhaktagana anubhave nahi jane ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana. Do it, Prabhu? With the chant. Bhaktagana anubhave nahi jana ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana. Bhaktagana anubhave nahi jane ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana. Anyone on Zoom like to chant?
Yes. Bhaktagana anubhava nahi jana ana. Shri Bhagavata
Can you hear it?
Shastra. Yes. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana.
Bhaktagana anubhave nahi jane ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana.
Bhaktagana anubhave nahi jane ana. Shri Bhagavata Shastra Tahate Pramana.
भक्त गाना अनुभवे नाही जाने आना श्री भगवता शास्त्र ताहते pramana.
Anyone else? Okay, we can go to the word for word. Bhaktagana, all devotees. Anubhave, could perceive. Nahi jane, do not know. Anna, others. Shri Bhagavata Shastra, the revealed scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam. Tahate, in that connection. Pramana, evidence. The translation and purport. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing before the Rath Yatra car could be perceived only by pure devotees. Others could not understand. Description of Lord Krishna's uncommon dancing can be found in the revealed scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam. If everyone would like to repeat, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing before the Rath Yatra car could be perceived only by pure devotees. Others could not understand. Description of Lord Krishna's uncommon dancing can be found in the revealed scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna expanded himself into many forms while engaged in the Rasa Leela dance. And he also expanded himself when he married 16,000 wives in Dwarka. The same process was adopted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he expanded himself into 7 forms to dance in each and every group of the Sankirtan party. These expansions were appreciated by pure devotees, including King Prataparudra. Although, for reasons of external formality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to see King Prataparudra because he was a king. King Prataparudra became one of the Lord's most confidential devotees by the Lord's special mercy upon him. The king could see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu simultaneously present in all 7 groups. As confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, one cannot see the expansions of the transcendental forms of the Lord unless one is a pure devotee of the Lord. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militanjina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Born in the darkness of ignorance, my eyes are opened by the torchlight of knowledge due to the mercy of my spiritual master. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. For my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master and unto all Vaishnav Gurus. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Offer my obeisances to Rupa Goswami, his older brother Sanatan, and unto the others, other Goswamis, including Raghunath Das and Jiva Goswami. Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Offer my obeisances unto Advaita Acharya, unto the Avaduta Nityananda, and unto Sri Chaitanya, and unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Radha Krishna Padansaha Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Shah. For obeisances unto Radha and Krishna, and unto the gopis headed by Lalita and Vishakta. I offer my very respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet in this world. Our obeisances unto you, O servant of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. You are kindly spreading the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu throughout the Western worlds, which is filled with voidism and impersonalism. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, senior Vaishnavas that are present here in the temple room, and others who are on Zoom. I offer my obeisances, and to those who are present in sound. Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanavya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the translation again, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing before the Rath Yatra car, could be perceived only by pure devotees. Others could not understand. Descriptions of Lord Krishna's uncommon dancing can be found in the revealed scripture Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada expanded on the expansion of Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it was mentioned how Lord Krishna, when he was dancing in the Rasa Leela with the gopis, which were innumerable, he expanded himself and was dancing with each gopi. They're dancing in a circle, and Krishna was between each gopi. And each gopi was thinking Krishna's only dancing with her. And in the same way, Lord Chaitanya, the Rath Yatra, because Lord Chaitanya is non-different than Krishna. He's Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So at the dancing, he was dancing in front of the Rath cart initially, and he set up 7 kirtan parties. This is how the Supreme Personality of Godhead conducts Rath Yatra. He conducts the Rath Yatra with kirtan parties. Recently, we did some Rath Yatras preceding our big Rath Yatra, Vancouver big Rath Yatra, this coming Sunday. The first one we did was in Kelowna, and very, very sweet Rath Yatra. We did it in a park right beside the Okanagan Lake by the water. Srila Prabhupada's initial instructions for Rath Yatra, the very first letters, was after the San Francisco Rath Yatra, and he was introducing Rath Yatras. His instructions were try to find, conduct the Rath Yatra beside water, some water. And he specifically mentioned Montreal and the St. Lawrence River, to hold it by the St. Lawrence River. But then later, of course, Prabhupada's mission and mood, that of Lord Chaitanya, every town and village, the holy name will be spread by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And of course, it took place, and is still taking place by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada started to focus more on encouraging to have the Rath Yatra where the general public can see it, where more people will be. Therefore, when the Rath Yatra went down New York's Fifth Avenue in 1976, the first one in New York, Prabhupada was very, very pleased because Fifth Avenue is very crowded. And the same with in London, Trafalgar, 1973 especially. The first one was in 1969 in London, the first Rath Yatra in London. It was a bit of a disaster because the huge Rath cart collapsed, but still the festival went on at Trafalgar Square. So the idea was, Prabhupada's idea was to, see that the Rath Yatra expands, and this is Lord Chaitanya's movement, and this is how Lord Chaitanya observed the Rath Yatra. So, in Kelowna was nice, we were by body of water. In Nanaimo, which is the fourth one we did so far, was in Nanaimo, and that was by the ocean. It was very nice. We did the Canada Day Parade. 20,000 people saw the Rath cart and Lord Jagannath. Anyone who sees the Rath cart, according to Nectar of Instruction and Prabhupada's instruction, anybody that sees the Rath cart go by automatically becomes free from all misery. And then we did one in Langley. We partnered with the Odia Society. Their approach was a little different. Their approach was, they have kirtan a little bit, they pull the cart, then they stop the cart, and they move the ropes. People pulling the rope, they separate them. They each go on one side, and they kind of make a funnel going back to the cart, and then they have some carpets there, and then they have some Odisha dancing and some Bharatanatyam dancing for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And then they start up again, and the kirtan goes, and then they stop, and they have some other performance. And what I noticed, and many, I think most of the people noticed, that when the Lord's holy name was being chanted in the kirtan, and then everybody was pulling the card, everybody's chanting the holy name, it was ecstatic. Everybody was chanting, everybody was participating. But when they had the performances, it's like it seemed like the kirtan was just getting momentum, and then they would stop. Then they have the performances, and then you'd be watching the performances, and then it would start up again, and it would get ecstatic, and then it would just be coming and getting better, and then it would stop again. It kind of deflated the ecstasy. My personal opinion, and the opinion of others, it kind of deflated because Lord Chaitanya set the standard. Krishna himself set the standard how to worship him in Rath Yatra. As Krishna's Jagannath, Krishna's Lord Chaitanya. So he's showing us how to worship the Lord during Rath Yatra. And that is kirtan. And to prove it, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had 7 kirtan parties, not 1, but 7 around Jagannath's cart. And then here, it's mentioned that Srila Prabhupada in the purports making reference to how Lord Chaitanya, he set up the 7 kirtan parties. It even describes in detail, how many mridungas were playing, how many kartals. I think it's 4 to 1. How many which devotees were dancing, which devotees were leading the kirtan, singing, etc. Very clear description. So it's also mentioned how then they didn't have electronics and modern amplification or such. So the kirtan leader would chant, and when the kirtan leader would chant, all the instruments would play very softly, so you could hear the chanter chanting the holy name. And then when everybody would respond, then the instruments got loud and everybody chanted loudly. And the focus was always on the holy name, not a distraction with the instruments. The instruments are meant to accompany, but not to distract. And this is how Lord Chaitanya instructed the kirtans and instructed how to execute Rath Yatra. And although Lord Chaitanya was doing this, he was also in front of Lord Jagannath's cart, and he was chanting these prayers. This is a loose paraphrase. He's in front of Lord Jagannath's cart, and he's in the mood of Radharani, and he's saying, "Oh, you're the same Krishna, I'm the same Radha, it's the same moonlight nights of Chaitra, the same fragrance of the malati flowers is there, but something is not right. Something it's different. I want to bring you back to the pleasure groves of Vrindavan." And the idea was that only 2 people, Rupa Goswami, Swarup Damodar, actually understood what the meaning behind Lord Chaitanya was saying. No one else did. Now Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna, he's in the mood of Radharani. And the meaning was that Krishna, he's on these big chariots. He's coming from the Jagannath temple. He's in the mood of Krishna's in the mood of Lakshmi. Lakshmi Narayan. It's opulence. He's in Dwarka mood. Jagannath temple represents the Dwarka mood. And the Gundichi temple, where the chariot is being pulled for, represents Vrindavan. And the idea was, the gopis, when Lord Chaitanya was chanting this, he was in the mood of Radharani, pulling Krishna from the Dwarka mood to the Vrindavan mood. And Prabhupada said, this is the meaning of Rath Yatra. So Lord Chaitanya set the standard for Rath Yatra with continuous kirtan, and everyone, of course, gets ecstatic in Rath Yatra. So when Lord Chaitanya set up the 7 parties, he was dancing in each one of the kirtan parties, and only the pure devotees, and particularly he's mentioning Maharaj Prajaparudra, could actually see Lord Chaitanya in the 7 parties. Only a small handful, again, I think Swarup Damodar. They were up on the balcony, the king's balcony, overlooking Grand Road, where the Rath Yatra was, and they were looking down, and the king was there, Swarup Damodar was there, and they were watching Lord Chaitanya dancing in the 7 parties simultaneously. But everyone was thinking, oh, he's only in our party, we're most fortunate. So that's one of the points that Srila Prabhupada makes, and he also mentions how, just as Lord Krishna in Dwarka, he expanded himself 16,000 times to be with the 16,000 queens simultaneously, but he was not doing the same thing simultaneously. The advanced yogi, he can expand himself up to 8 times. And in modern technology, electronics, etc., you can expand yourself millions of times through modern media like television. You can be on television, and as many people that are watching you on television, that's as many times you've been expanded. And just like the yogi, when he expands himself 8 times, whatever he does, he's doing it exactly the same 8 times. In the same way that now on TV, you can expand yourself millions of times, but you're always doing the same thing. However, with Lord Krishna, when he was in Dwarka with his 16,000 queens, Narada Muni went to visit, and he saw that Krishna was doing something different in each one of the palaces with each one of the queens. This is the difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and an ordinary human being. So Maharaj Patra Parudra, he was able to witness this as well as other pure devotees. And as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, one cannot see the expansions of the transcendental forms of the Lord unless one is a pure devotee of the Lord. And every day we come in at temples. How many temples around the world? We have the worshipful deity on the altar, and that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's there, and it's described that the Lord will talk to you. The Lord will the Lord will move. He can dance in front of you. There are examples of that during the Caitanya festival of the first festival of Lord Chaitanya's appearance. It was in Caitanya, organized by Narottam Das Thakur. And at that time, all the exalted, Lord Chaitanya had long departed from the planet. And all the stalwart devotees, they came. They were invited. Genevieve, Lord Chaitanya's widowed wife, well, not widowed, but wife, when Lord Nityananda took sannyas, was there. She was a special guest of honor. And the ecstatic kirtans, Narottam Das was like the Elvis Presley of kirtans back in the day. He was, he was like a big, huge rock star. Of course, he didn't carry the profile of a rock star, but this is how much he was regarded as a great kirtanier. So the conclusion was the kirtan. Narottam Das, first he went up and he garlanded all the mridanga players, offered arti to the instrument players and the instruments especially. And then it had the ecstatic kirtan, and the kirtan was so ecstatic, the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jumped down, and Nityananda, they jumped off the altar and started dancing in the kirtan. And this is witnessed by pure devotees, could see that. Another example was when Nityananda, he had the Panihati festival, Dahi Chitta Dahi festival, chip rice and yogurt, that he arranged to be held by Raghunath Das. And when the word got out that this was going to have this festival, all the villagers started to come, and they all brought their storehouse of yogurt and chip rice, and they were sitting. First, Lord Nityananda was sitting on a tree, under a tree, on a platform, and then beside him were other senior Vaishnavas, and then around them, sitting around them, were other devotees. And they became so many that some of them had to actually go into the river, and they were wading, not waiting, but wading in the river up to their waists, and everybody's eating the chipped rice and yogurt. And then Nityananda, he started to take the chipped rice, and he would, seemingly from the vision of most people, would be putting it in the air. But to the vision of those close associates, those pure devotees, they could actually see Lord Chaitanya was there. And Lord Nityananda was feeding Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was feeding Lord Nityananda, so back and forth. But for most of the devotees that were there, they could only see the motion of Lord Nityananda. They couldn't see Lord Chaitanya, but the pure devotees could see Lord Chaitanya. So if one is very, very fortunate, one can actually have the personal darshan and see the Supreme Lord. You could see Krishna on the altar talking to you. But Prabhupada would take darshan. I remember one devotee, when I was a new bhakta, he was saying, he was standing beside Srila Prabhupada, and he noticed that when Prabhupada was looking at the deity, he wasn't looking at the deity like everybody else. That something was going on. And another testimony from Govinda Dasi, there was this Caitanya deity. It was the first deity you could say in Iskcon. I believe it's the same deity that Guru Das discovered in a shop in San Francisco in 1967, and he made an arrangement to get that deity for the temple. $35. He was saying it cost $35, and he didn't have $35. Nobody had that kind of money back then. $35. Prabhupada's rent, to give you an idea, 1966, his rent was $66 a month for the storefront. And the apartment and the storefront together was like $120 for both the storefront and the apartment in New York. So $35 was a fair amount, but that's how much they wanted for the deity. So Guru Das, he went and he went begging, and he said, my father, he's in prison. He's in prison in this shop. He's in prison, and I need some money to get him out. And he said, my son is is in prison. I need some money to get him out. And in this way, this is how he collected $35. Anyway, that same deity appears as the same deity. It's not 100% verified, but it's the same deity that Prabhupada had in Montreal. The same Caitanya deity Prabhupada had in Montreal. And Prabhupada Govinda Dasi was saying, Srila Prabhupada, he would be looking at this deity, he would be talking to the deity, he would be laughing laughing like there's some conversation and joking going on. She was witnessing this. So Prabhupada asked Govinda Dasi, you're here, but your husband is in Hawaii, so you have to go be with your husband. And Govinda Dasi said, all right, Srila Prabhupada. She didn't want to leave Prabhupada. Who wants to leave Prabhupada? She didn't want to leave Prabhupada, but it was an instruction. So she made it conditional. She said, Srila Prabhupada, please, I'll go if you give me the Caitanya, if I can take Caitanya with me. And Prabhupada agreed. Anyway, there's more history to that, but the point is that the deity, the pure devotee, he can actually see, he can see Krishna dancing in 7 kirtan parties. He can see Krishna in 16,000 different palaces doing 16,000 different things. So those who become very, very dear to Krishna, becoming a pure devotee is not something we can aspire for that, but it's not something that by our effort alone that we become a pure devotee. We just try to please Krishna, and the more we try to please Krishna without any personal motive, without any speculation, that's the degree that we ascend to becoming a pure devotee. And then if Krishna desires, he awards pure devotional service to the devotee. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana-karma-amritam anukalena Krishna no shilanam bhakta. So pure devotional service is defined as service rendered favorably to Krishna that's free from any personal motive or any kind of guessing and speculation. That's pure devotional service. So what is speculation? Figuring out that you can please Krishna by doing this or doing that without getting the proper guidance from from a bona fide representative. Try to do it your way. That's speculation. You think you might be pleasing Krishna, but you may not be. You may not be pleasing Krishna. So we please Krishna by following the parampara, the disciplic succession, coming through the pure devotees, Srila Prabhupada and his predecessors, Bhakti Siddhanta, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the list goes on, Madhavinda Puri, Madhavacharya, Vyasadev, Narada Muni, Lord Brahma. So this is the system. So the next verse, in this way, 68, in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in great jubilation and inundated all the people with waves of ecstatic love. Thus, Lord Jagannath mounted his car, and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inspired all his devotees to dance in front of it. That's how you perform Rath Yatra. This is Krishna showing us directly, Evam Param Praptam. We're coming down from this disciplic line of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a very special lineage through the pure devotees. And this is how you observe Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra, chanting and dancing in front of Lord Jagannath. And I think I'll finish here. The next section is starting with the Gundicha temple. So I think this is a good place to finish off. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? I don't know, somehow or other. Hare Krishna. Rath Yatra, Lord Jagannath and Rath Yatra are very dear to me. Madhua Prabhu? I'm sure practically every temple that you go to for the Rath Yatra, you hear this chapter over and over and over again. It's probably a standard in most of the temples anyway, leading up to Jagannath Rath Yatra. Well, I did that a couple of months ago. Yeah. Your quote is in that, by the way. I have different ones. There's different sections. And you're quoted. Thank you. Did you, Bhakti? No.
Can you please give the mic to her?
She's just acknowledging my appreciation and appreciation of Rath Yatra and her appreciation of my appreciation. Anyone else? Anyone on the internet, on Zoom? Comments, questions? Okay, we can finish here. Today is the Vyasa Puja observance of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So there'll be a function starting at 10:30 this morning, and we're all welcome. Sri Caitanya-caritamrta ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you.